When people talk about investing genius, they usually talk about stock picks, returns, or charisma. But Charlie Munger rejected all of that. He believed that success in investing, business, and life came not from brilliance, but from thinking correctly. Not quickly, not creatively, correctly. Munger was never interested in being flashy. He was interested in being right over long periods of time. By the time of his death in 2023 at age 99, Munger had helped build Berkshire Hathaway into a company worth over $850 billion alongside Warren Buffett. But unlike Buffett, Munger's true legacy is not a portfolio. It is a way of thinking. Munger argued that most people fail not because they lack intelligence, but because they use one-dimensional thinking to solve multi-dimensional problems. His response was what he famously called a latticework of mental models, a structured system for understanding reality using ideas borrowed from economics, psychology, mathematics, physics, and biology. This video is not about memorizing quotes. It is about understanding how Munger actually thought, how he applied those ideas to real decisions, and why this framework consistently outperformed traditional analysis. Charlie Munger was born in 1924 in Omaha, Nebraska. He did not come from wealth. He dropped out of college to serve in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II. Later, he studied mathematics before attending Harvard Law School, despite having no undergraduate degree. This background mattered. Munger was trained to reason, not calculate. Law taught him to think in terms of incentives, second-order effects, and unintended consequences. Mathematics trained him to respect reality over narrative. Munger practiced law successfully, then moved into real estate development in California during the 1960s. By the time he met Warren Buffett formally in the late 1950s, Munger had already formed a deep skepticism of conventional wisdom. He once said that he never cared about being formally labeled an investor. He cared about avoiding stupidity. That framing shaped everything that followed. Charlie Munger's most important concept is also his most misunderstood. A mental model is simply a reusable explanation of how part of the world works. Munger argued that relying on a single discipline, such as finance or accounting, produces blind spots. In a 1994 speech at USC titled A Lesson on Elementary, Worldly Wisdom, Munger said, "You must have multiple models in your head, and you must arrange them into a latticework." He estimated that 80 to 90 major models explain most of the world, not thousands. Not endless complexity, just a manageable set of powerful ideas used repeatedly. Munger criticized economists, MBAs, and analysts who knew formulas but lacked judgment. He called this tendency physics envy, a desire to force precise equations onto systems that are inherently probabilistic. The latticework is not about predicting. It is about filtering bad ideas before they cause damage. Munger's most frequently cited model is inversion. Instead of asking, "How do I succeed?" Munger asked, "How do I fail?" He credited this idea to the mathematician Carl Jacobi, who said, "Invert, always invert." Munger applied inversion relentlessly. When evaluating an investment, he did not start with upside. He started by identifying what could destroy it: excessive debt, fragile business models, management incentives that encouraged recklessness. During the 2008 financial crisis, this mindset proved decisive. Berkshire Hathaway avoided catastrophic losses because it had minimal leverage, enormous liquidity, and businesses that generated cash even under stress. While banks failed, Berkshire invested billions into Goldman Sachs and General Electric under favorable terms. Munger later said that avoiding stupidity is easier than seeking brilliance. Inversion turns risk management into a primary strategy, not an afterthought. Munger famously said, "Show me the incentives, and I will show you the outcome." This was not theory. It was observation. Munger believed that human behavior is driven more by incentives than by ethics, intelligence, or stated intentions. He saw this in law, business, and investing repeatedly. One of his sharpest critiques was of Wall Street compensation structures. Fund managers are rewarded for short-term performance and asset gathering, not long-term outcomes. This leads to excessive trading, risk-taking, and fee extraction. At Berkshire Hathaway, Munger and Buffett designed incentive systems that rewarded long-term economic performance, not quarterly earnings. Subsidiary managers retained autonomy, but were judged on durable profitability. This model also explained Munger's disdain for complex financial products. He believed that if a product's incentives were misaligned, no amount of disclosure could fix it. Incentives, in Munger's framework, are gravity. Ignore them, and analysis becomes fantasy. Munger believed that every decision must be evaluated against the next best alternative, not in isolation. This is classical economics, but rarely applied consistently. He criticized companies that reinvested capital at low returns simply because they had cash. He believed capital allocation was management's most important job. At Berkshire, retained earnings were deployed only if they exceeded the expected returns of doing nothing or buying back shares. This discipline led to large cash balances, often criticized by analysts. Munger responded that idle cash is not a failure if alternatives are worse. This mindset explains Berkshire's patience. It also explains why Munger was comfortable doing very few things. He once said that most of Berkshire's success came from about 10 decisions. Opportunity cost turns activity into a liability when discipline is absent. Munger believed psychology was the most underappreciated discipline in investing. He compiled a list of human misjudgments, including authority bias, social proof, consistency bias, and incentive-caused bias, and argued that these explain most financial disasters. He warned that humans are not rational calculators. They are pattern-seeking, narrative-driven, and emotionally fragile. During market bubbles, Munger observed that social proof overwhelms logic. People buy because others are buying. During crashes, fear dominates analysis. Munger did not believe these biases could be eliminated. He believed they could be defended against through structure, checklists, and patience. This explains his emphasis on temperament. Intelligence without emotional control, in Munger's view, was a dangerous combination. Munger believed that some businesses benefit from scale in ways that are irreversible. He referred to this as a Lollapalooza effect, where multiple forces reinforce each other. This explained Berkshire's preference for businesses like insurance, consumer brands, and regulated utilities. These businesses benefit from cost advantages, brand trust, and regulatory barriers. Munger was skeptical of businesses that relied on constant innovation to survive. He preferred systems that improved with size and time. This systems-level thinking separated durable wealth creation from speculative growth. Charlie Munger did not believe the world was predictable. He believed it was understandable enough to avoid disaster and capture long-term advantage. His mental models were not academic. They were filters. They eliminated bad decisions before they destroyed capital. Munger once said that his goal was to be less stupid than other people. Over a lifetime, that humility compounded into extraordinary results. In a world obsessed with speed, information, and complexity, Munger's framework remains radical because it is slow, selective, and grounded in reality. The real lesson of Charlie Munger is not how to think faster, but how to think better, consistently, and over decades. That, more than any stock pick, was his edge.